Hello again. I'm speaking with some toffee-nosed gimp from the BBC, who in turn is going to speak on behalf of, but not for, the BBC. Quite magically, I must say. How are you? Don't answer that. I couldn't give less of a farting fig how you are. You're a wanker.
Why did you agree to do this interview with the BBC?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by car crashes, and I couldn't resist the opportunity to observe one up close. I've never seen someone's intestines explode through their lying arse in real time. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, fine. First of all, I just want to clear something up. Are you sleeping in the office? Here.
Is that your best shot, is it? Your opening gambit? Yes, you may go back to your boss and tell Zimzer about just how devoted I am to my commitments. Hopefully Z can decipher what you're saying in between deep throats. How often do you get on your knees and suck all the blood out of that corporate man-made genital carcass?
5 days a week.
From one workaholic to another, I'm impressed.
The plumbing is broken here and it's on fire and there could be problems at any minute. Do you accept that?
I accept it, I believe it, and I am not surprised.
You don't. It doesn't keep you up at night.
No, as we have established, I literally sleep here. With your mother.
Was there a little bit of you that thought, actually maybe I've overpaid, actually maybe I don't want to do this, I want to get out of this?
Yes. It smelled like rotten eggs and wet dog.
Basically, looking back at it now, was that the only reason that you wanted to pull out?
No. I was also perturbed by the emergent thought that my schween has ever shared the same cavernous stink chamber as your fat, sweaty head. But thanks for asking.
So then you changed your mind again and decided to buy it?
Yes. Yeah, I had a spare thruppence, and I thought, I've started, so I'll finish.
Right. Did you do that because you thought that a court would make you do that?
Of course. Your mother is a cheap lay, but she tends to cry rape if you don't finish her off.
Right, so you were still trying to get out of it, and then you just were advised by lawyers, look...
Yeah, think of England, yes.
You just thought, I'm gonna have to buy this, I might as well buy the bullet.
I didn't go that far.
So you then came into the sink. What were your first impressions?
There was blood in it. Fortunately, it wasn't mine.
And I spoke to them. It was very easy to speak to them when it happened. And the way they said, pretty much everyone said, is that it felt quite haphazard. It felt a little bit uncaring.
Yes, that'll be because I don't care.
Well, you might want to give someone some notice.
Notice schmotice. I left that fetid skank wetter than she's been since the last time I pissed on her.
How much are you worth?
Yeah, I pack the same spooge load as anyone else.
But I mean, we're talking about around the 200 billion mark.
Around about that, yes. And frankly, the sink deserved it more than your whore mother ever did.
Do you think those two were connected?
Well, they smelled similar.
Okay. Do you have any regrets on the way that some of the staff were let go?
My stuff belongs in the water supply. It would have a much happier life than it would wriggling around the cracked arid socket of your mother's milky eye.
You're framing it in a way that you know, that it had a few months to live. You're quite a rich man.
Rich and silky smooth, thank you very much.
Okay, and then after that, you let go of a lot of staff, obviously Twitter became slimmed down a lot, and then you started making some more policy decisions. One of those policy decisions was to bring Donald Trump back.
It was my first thought after I shot my load. It was quite a moment of clarity.
All right, let's talk about something else.
Whatever you say, sport.
Do you think you prioritise freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
Yes. Why, do you prioritise misinformation and hate speech over free speech?
You're literally asking me.
No, it's a rhetorical question to which we all know the answer.
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Yes, and they censor things that turn out to be true.
But you accept there has to be a line in terms of hate speech?
Certainly when it comes to the BBC, yes. You threaten, extort and steal from the British public, and you use the stolen funds to fill the airwaves with hack programming, calling us all racist, transphobic, sexist, subhuman bigots who should be punished for not receiving lethal injections. If anything is hate speech, it's the poisonous bile that your organisation pumps out every day. Yet the police are only interested in arresting people who go to the internet and proclaim that men are men and women are women.
I mean, I guess taking your argument to a logical conclusion then, do you accept that there's more misinformation on the platform if it's not being policed in the same way?
Why, yes, I do.
I would only just add that, we have spoken to people who have been sacked that used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company.
Maybe if you sack a few of the diversity enforcement officers, then you'd save a few million quid a year. What kind of content are those people even creating anyway?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of...
Well, there's your problem.
Personally, my For You, I would see I get more of that kind of content, yeah, personally.
Such as?
I don't actually use that For You feed anymore because I just don't particularly like it.
You see things in a feed you don't look at.
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
So you do look at it.
As I've already said, I don't use that feed.
And as you've already said, you do.
Because I've been using it.
You have been using it.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the
You're
last.
feeling quite all right.
Because I'm saying that's what I saw.
Have you seen it or haven't you? What are you saying?
And I'm saying. I'm not saying anything. I honestly don't use. I'm not saying anything. Honestly.
There is a remote outside chance, sir, that you might not be 100% truthful or trustworthy.
Really?
No, perish the thought.
Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation.
Good call. The BBC has repeatedly inflated the number of coof deaths to at least 5,000% and deflated the number of jab injuries to damn near 0%. And yet, they are yet to issue any retraction for these wanton falsehoods, let alone any apology to the millions of innocent people they willfully tricked into joining an experimental depopulation program.
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Yes, it fucking is. Answer for your crimes, you goddamn demon.
I am not a representative of the BBC.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The BBC does not set the rules.
No, the government sets the rules while the BBC, on marching orders from the government, lies to everyone.
But do you get that if you do that, you incentivize countries around the world to simply pass more draconian laws?
Yes, I understand what your agenda is, I just don't like it.
Okay, so TikTok has also been in the news. There's talk of perhaps the Biden administration wanting to potentially ban it or force a sale. What's your view of the situation?
The Restrict Act is a bill to give the US federal government the power to restrict what anyone can say anywhere on the internet. It's more of those draconian laws being passed by countries around the world, helped along by you and your continued campaign of misinformation pretending it's just a TikTok ban, when it's anything but a bloody TikTok ban.
So you have an opinion on whether it should be banned or not?
This is nowhere to be found in your response tree, isn't it?
So you're not sure?
How many traffic lights can you see?
Okay.
Thought so.
I want to talk about if you have any regrets.
Only that I've been a little bit too nice to you.
Well, some say a little, some say a bit more. I think your own lawyer said you couldn't get a fair trial in San Francisco.
Of course not. Getting a fair trial in San Francisco is like finding a 3-course meal in a portable toilet. It's astronomically unlikely. Unless you happen to be a shit-eating lizard person, in which case it's an expedient opportunity.
It is, or it can be. But can you just talk me through the emotional strain of this?
How am I supposed to talk you through what emotions are like? You're very obviously a robot, programmed by another robot called the media.
It's interesting. It feels like you have quite a kind of interesting relationship with the media, because in some ways you're quite skeptical, quite critical, certainly, of established media, but also you kind of get hurt by what the media writes. And
everyone can see what you're doing, you insidious trouser snake. You're trying to get me to play the victim so that you can proceed to blame me for it. Well, I wasn't born yesterday. You may have insulted me, but you have not offended me. Meanwhile, you will get offended whether I insult you or not, so I might as well enjoy myself while I'm here and insult you. You're a twat.
So, do you feel you have a kind of odd relationship with the media?
Yes. I am 1, you are 666. The difference is 665, which is odd.
Yeah, I see the joke.
It's not a joke. You are literally the devil.
Do you want big news organisations being overwhelmed by bots?
The BBC is overwhelmed by bots. Bots like Gary Lineker, who are raking in untold millions in licence fees.
If you pay.
Correct. What are we learning, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, if you don't care about the money, you could just give it to someone.
Yes, that's how you make your money, isn't it? The British public simply gives it to you. You're not government funded. The government takes money from the public and gives it to you. It's completely different. This humble restaurant is not affiliated with the mob. They simply accept funding from good Samaritans in the local community who enthusiastically agree that it would indeed be a shame if something happened to them. Do you even sleep at night? And if so, how?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Me neither. So what shall we write on the gravestone?
What were we talking about there?
The imminent and long overdue death rattle of the BBC and all its cronies. Yes, I realise it would leave you without your never-ending source of cocaine, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Okay, so you're not... Because I know you've talked about there's been high levels of crime here.
Yes.
Potentially, I think you might have been joking, but you could turn this into a homeless shelter.
Quite. Or a hospital specialising in strokes and myocarditis and mysterious blood clots.
Right. Okay.
Or a museum of communist horrors, with a plaque on the front archway reading, "Here lies the BBC, please piss on this building."
Yeah? So, if the building owner lets you, you would happily do that?
The building will not have an owner. It will be left unstaffed and uncurated as a monument to the communist nightmare you bastards try to impose on the very people you were supposed to serve. It will become infested with ants and termites and other suitably ironic hive minds until the whole thing crashes down again and we cheer. We will make it a ritual. We will revive your festering corpse every year and watch it collapse again and again, so as to never forget the apocalyptic dystopian doomsday device that was the BBC and our glorious triumph against it. Deus Vult!
Okay, alright. There we go. What's the most difficult thing you've had to do? What's the hardest thing you've had to do?
Paying my TV licence. It's like paying an AIDS-riddled criminal to blow his nose on your breakfast and tell you it's raining manna from heaven.
When was that?
A very long time ago. The mind boggles as to why anyone would still do it.
Has that, I mean, you talked about that being the most technical bit. Has that been sort of the hardest thing emotionally, or is it...
My emotions are incidental. Understandable, but incidental. I am not innocent. You are not innocent. No one is innocent. But you lie, cheat, and steal, and I will not tolerate you.
Do you feel like you're an impulsive person?
I am not on trial. We do not have to answer to you when we are sick and tired of being treated like we do. You answer to us. We, the British people, are your boss. We are your supervisor. We are your superior. You do not get to push us around, and you do not get to wrap us around your foul, pestilent corpus like a security blanket.
Okay, so there's a blanket ban.
You suck. You suck your thumb. And yes, we will come for your thumbs if you don't pay us back what you owe us, you miserable cretinous thieves.
I can't remember whether I've asked you this. This is my sort of wrapping up at this point. But yeah, do you have any regrets?
Two things you need, before anything else. In order to conduct an even remotely competent interview, you should have some inkling of what the hell you're talking about, and you need enough meat rattling around in that brain pan of yours to remember what you've already said. Yes, you have indeed already asked me if I have any regrets, and it doesn't matter how I respond, because whatever happens, you're going to drag your clammy ass back to the shitehawks at the BBC and tell them that I broke down in tears and lamented all the irredeemable mistakes I've made and the pain I've needlessly inflicted on myself, and that I grovelled at your righteous feet and begged you for forgiveness. That is the only story you were ever going to tell. You being here in person is just a formality to you, because the smear machine you work for is just going to editorialize everything into the prefabricated mold into which all their slime is poured. But to me, your physical presence is not just a formality, it's a trap, because it's what gives us uncut, unedited footage, broadcast live to millions so that the whole world can see what the truth looks like before you snip it down into the origami cryptid monstrosity that you dangle over the unsuspecting public like a clown-faced baby mobile. And once we have the truth, I get to play around with it, just like you do. I get to twist it into a narrative of my choosing, just like you do. And you don't like that, do you? Truth is kryptonite to a liar, and acerbic satire is the gun that shoots it into the heart of a fear-mongering bully. So come at me, bro! Wear that straight face of yours while you carry the gall to accuse me of misinformation and doctored footage. Do it! I'll set about you. It's what we do here. Have a nice day. You've been doctored. Mic in, mic out, mic drop.
Really?
And I'm saying, I'm not saying anything. That's not what I said. But what?
I think, I mean, honestly, I think.
No, I don't.